Hello, hello. This is Donna Savage with Talk with Savage Desires, and welcome tonight. We have a very special guest, which is Mr. Neil Logic. Welcome, Logic.
Doing. I'm pleasure to be here. I'm excited. Thank you for the invite. I love having these kinds of conversations, and what better to create these spaces with a wonderful Black woman like yourself.
Listen.
I think these conversations are so important, especially amongst our communities, and to kind of normalize these conversations. Like oftentimes, I feel like we're like overly like sexualized or whatever, but we're not in positions of taking control of
And
our narrative.
you are so right. It's not talked about in the way that we're supposed to. I mean, people looking at reggae and looking at this and looking at that and think, and sexualize us. But we're here to talk about the true aspect of sexuality and sensuality. I haven't met you yet, but I've heard so many wonderful things about you. I can't wait
Thank you.
to meet
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
So, of course, you know what tonight is all about. It's about our men responsible for women's orgasms.
Mm,
Mm.
indeed.
Listen, I have gotten so many inboxes and texts, and as you
Yep,
said, we need to normalize this and we need to have this conversation. So
we do.
thank you. And listen, we're going to be open, we're going to be authentic, we're going to be true.
That's all I can offer, really.
That's right. And even the your followers, I mean, them really drop some real crazy nuggets on there.
I seen that. I seen that. You follow with that, and yeah, I mean, like online, like I've been really fortunate to create like a space where people feel safe to express and to be
Mhm.
vulnerable and really just to be authentic, essentially.
Okay.
Because yeah, so
I love it. So I'm going to start with you,
all right,
right?
all right.
I have to start with you. In your experience,
Hmm.
Neil, has any woman ever come to you saying anything like, you haven't pleased them, or what's your personal experience when it comes to sex?
Hmm.
Because
I
I know you're
mean,
older now. I know you're older now. So, just talk
right,
about your journey.
right. I mean, there has been definitely experiences of that, and I think like as I'm older, I start trying to listen to like the social cues of that and figure out like what needs to be done in order to bring a level of satisfaction. I think like as a man, like like we're always taught that like we are responsible for the female's orgasm, like like we got to deliver this, like there's that pressure, and then if we can't do that, then there must be something wrong with us, like we're not man enough or whatnot, so I feel like sometimes there is a bit of that, but my evolution in terms of just like like intimacy and sexuality, I think like started in a place of like being more and more performative, and it was really I think it was more and more like ego driven as opposed to really understanding like the intricacies of intimacy, because for me like intimacy starts in the mind. It doesn't begin like physically, so to understand all of those things, it definitely took a while, and there's been a lot of learning curves, absolutely, you
You
know
know, you know what? You just said something to me just now that
yeah.
growing up, you were always thought that it's the man's duty and rights and responsibility for have a woman to give a woman or orgasm, and if she doesn't achieve the orgasm, you're thinking there's something wrong with you, right? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
yeah,
And the crazy thing, as women, we
yeah.
always thought, yes, we were told that men are responsible for our orgasms,
Mm.
and if we don't have any orgasm, we think something was wrong with us. So it
Wow.
starts with communication. So you and your
Yeah,
partner, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
We're
yeah,
just not communicating.
for
Because
sure, for sure.
I'm in my head and you're in your head and thinking that we're failures because we're not
Right.
giving this woman the pleasure that it's a God-given right. And here you're thinking, oh my God, I'm the man, I'm supposed to do this, and it's not happening. So how does that play on your psyche? Played on your psyche?
How did it play? I mean, well, I think like when I became like sexually active, like I studied a lot in that aspect. I really wanted to be like a pleaser. I think I naturally am that way. So there's always this like like mental like preparation, and a lot of it was physical. And like there's times where I would achieve that, and but then there's other times where it's like I feel like I'm forcing it. Like I'm not delivering how I would like to. And then sometimes that force, I think, like backfires, because
Hmm.
again, like you're saying, there's a lot of communication, and oftentimes like we wouldn't really communicate like like deeper emotions. I mean, we talk about stuff like, okay, well, what's your favorite position and this and that, and what do you like, but like intimacy is a much deeper thing than that, and
Mm-hmm.
that took a while to like really like discover and to evolve, and I think it's really like for me it was more so like I wanted to like evolve myself spiritually, and I think that like opened up the doors to like a lot of things and realized that there's much more to intimacy than physicality, you know
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it was definitely like a process, but to get out of my head in that, I think there's a lot, because I think in a guy's mind, or in my mind rather, there's always like the fear, like if I'm not delivering, then like what is she going to tell her friends? Because it was really, I think that might have been the goal actually. It was more about like the stories to tell. Like one survived to tell the tale. You know what I'm saying? So
It's
you walk
true.
around, and then
It's,
we see your girl with her friends, and they're like, "Hey, we heard a lot about you." And it's
and you're
like,
wondering what the heck.
right. But then if you didn't perform, and then he give you that look, then you're just like, yo, like what are y'all talking about? Because I know y'all talking. You know what I'm saying? So
Everybody talks. Everybody talks.
so it was more so about like that performative aspect, as opposed to like really creating like real genuine connection, right?
Okay, so to answer the question, so you're going to answer it. So, do you think that men are responsible for women's orgasms?
Um, man, like part of me feels like kind of like, yeah, like because I think we're in a way like like the initiators of certain things, like I call it, we're like the initiators of life. Women carry life, but we like initiate things. So I think there might be a bit to that, but I think it's more of like a collaborative aspect, but yeah, like, so I don't know, it's yeah, that's the best way I can explain it. I would say it's more of a collaborative effort. Like there has to be a certain level of knowledge of self on both parts
Mm-hmm.
to know what you need and certain desires, because I think in order to really have like deep experiences, right? Because sometimes orgasms like aren't necessarily penetrative. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, if you get to certain levels of intimacy, just touch alone can go so far. Like the tone of your voice can invoke certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more of like a collaborative effort, and really having this dance. Like I kind of see it as this like inhale, exhale kind of motion, like
Mm-hmm.
back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but me personally, like I do, I'm a pleaser, so like there is a bit of that element. But if an orgasm isn't achieved, it's not the end of the world, right? Because you can, it's really about like the journey, not necessarily the destination at the same time, right?
So Greg Keane is saying that no,
He's just like, no.
no, he doesn't. It's like no, we're not responsible. God damn it! I mean, I'm
Yeah,
overplaying it, Greg, but yeah, he's saying that he doesn't think so. But what you're saying is that it's a collaborative effort, and maybe
yeah,
men, and it sounds like you're saying that maybe men are responsible for a woman's orgasm. It sounds like, or play a huge part in for women to have an orgasm.
mm.
Is that
What
what
do
you're
you mean?
saying? I don't
I
want to.
mean, we play more of a supportive role. We kind of like support and yeah, that's the way I can put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
supportive role.
So Jackson Phillip is saying I would say no to that because it's all about the connection. And you're right, Jackson. It's definitely about the
Yeah,
connection. And as much as I've seen it happen that, a man and a woman can have a physical connection,
right,
but when it comes to the bedroom, it's going to be a total different thing. And this is why I believe that each person is
right.
responsible for their own orgasm. With that
Mm,
said, when what you said though, it also helped with a collaborative
yeah,
way of motion.
yeah,
It
yeah,
belongs with the connection and how the person makes you feel, and communication is huge.
yeah. I think communication is a really big thing, and I know like I started becoming more communicative like as I got older. But my younger years, communication, like it. I guess I wasn't there. I mean, maybe it was more so like I didn't know how to be like even authentic with myself. Again, it was like in the mindset of being like performative and whatnot, and not being able to like articulate that with words, but I want to like show that physically. I want to like
Hmm.
dominate and really just execute and being like, yeah, manayad, and just hold it down, a bedroom bully, and you know. But after you
Them
after a
dance
while,
we're used to, eh?
right? Yeah. Well, like especially and then when you think of stereotypes of like the
Hmm.
perception of a black man, and then
Hmm.
especially Jamaican.
Hmm.
You got black and then you got Jamaican now, right? So I had to live up to the name.
To the
you know
black
what I
and the
mean?
Jamaican.
Right? Yeah. Like, I don't want nobody throwing no dirt on my name. I want it, what I'm saying? When it comes to holding me down, you already know what time it is. But again, like all that's ego driven though. You know what I
It's
mean?
true though.
It was all driven and coming from like the wrong places. And I think being in that mindset, I missed a lot of points. I
Yeah.
missed like, like the subtleties of it. And,
Mhm.
I think it really just took, for me to get to a place of being comfortable with being uncomfortable in the sense of like vulnerability and being open, like kind of like open up your heart chakra and all that and getting deeper and finding
Mhm.
deeper connections, so
You know what I really love about the comedy, this conversation right now, because you're being so authentic on your
yeah,
journey, and we need this because we have to acknowledge first. So in
yeah.
order for us to fix it, Craig is saying that each person needs to know how to achieve pleasure, then they can guide the other to help them achieve the orgasm. And I agree with Greg.
That's a big one too.
It's huge.
I think like in the past, I've definitely like learned from some partners, that are a little more seasoned than me, and I have no problems like taking lessons too, and
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's done like in a loving way, like not like what you mean you don't know how to do this and like here's the clit and this and like what I'm saying, like it's more of like a guidance. It's like, okay, well let me show you something, things you may not be aware of,
Mm-hmm.
and how to like get to those places. So I think it's really being open to learn and be like I don't know everything, and different partners have different needs and different experiences or whatever. So it's not like a one shoe fits all, but I think it just takes that awareness and desire to just be open, to
Mm-hmm.
make that connection, like a real like genuine connection to really see the person for who they are, their soul, as opposed to just like physicality. I think if you just focus on physicality, like it's misleading and it's limiting. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Let me go what said. Let me read what Greg says first. A man will get easily, but a woman needs a lot to get there, and no man can guess what each woman needs. And again, Greg, you are great, showing some amazing nuggets. Like you're throwing some great nuggets. As you said earlier, for every woman, or for every two women, they're gonna receive it different, and their erogenous zone or their sexual zones are going to be different.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to tell you, like maybe 75% of women don't even achieve penetrative orgasm. Is it the man's responsibility to get these women to have orgasms?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the percentage is huge.
70, really?
The percentage is huge. 75% or more women do not achieve penetrative orgasm. Clitoral orgasm, yes, because
Okay.
what's happening is women are always playing with the clit, the hood of the vagina.
Right,
But the
right, right,
inside,
right,
penetrative going in, and that's where the issue is, and that's where mind blowing orgasm starts. Is that
right,
as a man, is that your responsibility to find out where this woman's G spot is?
right, right,
So
right.
that's also the question. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned communication. Communication is huge.
It is. It is.
It's huge because as I've all in my classes, I was saying to you, you're going to be having intercourse and penetrative orgasm, right? And I said, women and men operates differently. Woman is like an oven; it takes time to warm up. Man is like a microwave. You press start, 30 seconds, you're done.
Right, right,
You
right,
know what
right,
I mean?
right,
So
right.
for women, it's a longer process. You
Mm,
know, Colleen is saying partners should support each other, and Colleen, you're right. I
yeah.
I agree. And what's your thought on that?
Oh, like partners supporting each
Yeah.
other? Yeah, I mean that's the whole like collaborative aspect, having like like conversations and being open to like taking guidance
Hmm.
and because like you might be doing something and it's like no you got to go a little slower, like this spot, like don't move, keep going, and to really take that those social cues, and then
Yes.
eventually like I think that's how you understand like your partner, then you're able to do that like more like a second nature
Yep.
space. But I like what you mentioned about like it's like heating up an oven. It really is, and I
Hmm.
think for women it's more like it's mental. There's a
It's
lot in there.
mental. It's
And
mental.
then on top of that too, like like sometimes like women might also be in their head. There's like a lot of things going on, and they might be thinking about the laundry that they left in the dryer, and like what's going to be like kids dinner tomorrow, and
Hmm.
like because that's how women are, like like
Hmm.
interconnected, making sure
Hmm.
everybody's okay. So like from a guy's perspective, it's like, I've learned that, okay, like to, really kind of create this environment and of safety and vulnerability, the safety container
Mm-hmm.
where what that allows both parties to be present,
Mm-hmm.
in moments.
In the moment, yes.
And that takes time too, it's like a lead up,
It
and
definitely is a lead up, as you said. It starts in the brain.
yeah,
Jackson is saying some people can only please themselves, and Jackson, I wholeheartedly believe, and
right,
I agree with you, because you have some women, or I'm talking about the women that they can have orgasm by themselves, but if they're
right,
with
yeah,
someone else, they don't, because they get tens up. And as you said, there's so much things going on, especially body shaming and how they look and how they feel
right,
and whatever
right,
else that's going through whatever else is going through their thoughts, right?
mm,
So for sure, it's, you mean, as much as sex has been around, and sexuality and porn and all of that, and it
yeah,
talks about, and they're saying, no, it's $1 billion business, yada yada yada. But at the
right,
end of the day, Neil,
mm.
so many people are still suffering in silence. You know what I
That's,
mean? It's a
that's very
facade.
true. It's
Oh,
very
had
true.
the amazing sex, da da da, because this is what people want to hear. But deep down,
Right.
they're suffering.
Mm.
I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? What's wrong with me? Asked Donna Marie saying, but women can't communicate their G spot to the man if they don't aware of it themselves. And it's true. Most
Mm.
women don't even know where their G spots are.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And I think, it kind of goes back to, I think, like just like culturally too, like, like it's almost like women weren't even allowed to like explore these things or have conversations, or being shamed, and not really understanding their bodies, and really getting to really understand that, so I think there's like a lot of like blocks that were created, whether culturally or family or whatever the case, and it is a lot to unpack and
So,
like rediscover, I feel.
so as a man, okay, a black West Indian man, even if you're not West Indian,
Yeah, yeah, no, I
your
totally
parents
identify.
are.
Yeah, yeah,
I know girls are brought up a little bit different than boys, right? So did you have that sit down conversation with your parents about sexuality and what to do and how to treat women, or even led by example, that there was somebody that you saw that was leading with example when it comes to sex or having the conversation?
no, no. Like I was raised in like a 7 Day Adventist, like Christian kind of household.
Mm, no
So you already know,
sense. Oh
you're,
gosh.
so like being a teen and being sexually active, and like like my mom's like coming across like a box of condoms, what I'm saying, like she would just like snatch that away. She's like, what are you doing? You're not going to be doing this, as if that's going to stop me from having sex. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I'm going to do, but
Mhm.
like I think that was like a missed opportunity, like that could have been like a conversation, and to really to be like, okay, well, this is a reality, like at least be informed and whatnot. uh,
Mhm.
in terms of just like having to sit down and like how to treat a woman, like I knew that there's like a level of respect for sure, because my moms would always say like, I don't care, like even if you get a prostitute pregnant, man, you're going to be taking care of your kid, and this and that. So I knew that there was like a level of respect, but really to understand like the real like connection,
Mhm.
I understood attraction, like you're attracted to like whatever, and that's
Mhm.
it. But to really create connection, I did not like really understand that. It was just kind of like we just go with emotions, and I've been to some relationships that became really heated because of the lack of conversation or
Mhm.
communication, and understanding that, and being more ego driven, and you're supposed to be like this for me, how dare you, and this and that, and I think for me it's been more of like going through the motion, like going through the rites of passage of like going through some, like, I don't want to call them failed experiences because they all serve this purpose, but
Mhm.
to go through these experiences to get the wisdom, and then
Mhm.
understanding, so I think that was like a whole like process from like my teens, I'd say, to like my like early 30s, and then from there it's like, okay, now I'm starting to understand a little bit more of it,
So
so
you start paying attention, I guess.
start paying attention, and
Yeah.
like I said, I've had some guidance, from some partners that are a little more seasoned,
So season partner, I like when you say
and
that. Um, Greg is saying no one knows everything. I learned through lots and lots of trial, practice, and practice make perfect. But it's true, Greg. I totally agree with you. He says, for me, sex is important, so I had studied it. I literally read books. I really recommend studying sex and leaving the shame out of it. You will reach heaven. And you're right, Greg. As much as you can read and understand what this sex is about and
Right.
sexuality and all of that, that's great on you. Our concern is whatever you're learning are is the woman receiving it, because if she's not at a place of receiving and being
Okay.
relaxed and feeling good about herself, no matter what you do, she may not reciprocate and open and be open to all the pleasures that you're giving her.
That just reminds me of something that's really, I think important in the context of like orgasms, because sometimes, as men, again, we're trained to be the initiator. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, your girl, you go through and yo, come to my yard and this and that, and you're like, pushing that energy. But like what I've learned over time is like to let the reverse happen. You know what I mean? Like let the woman come to you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like create that space or whatever. And then when she starts showing you those social cues, like that she's ready, I think that's when like the orgasms in multiple like ways and levels are achieved like a lot more easier, right? Because for well, I don't want to say like for most women, but the average woman, like like they have to like really feel it, that when that vibration is strong, they're going to go out and get it. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
not gonna be that shy stuff, and even if that's in the beginning, but there's going to come a point where it's like I'm ready, and
Hmm.
and her body will show that, like things will become a little
Just
more
starts,
moist,
everything just start firing off.
and then before you know it, it's like a little one touch here and then there, and it's fireworks, and you're just like, whoa, like what is
But
happening
it's
here?
true.
But
This is where we're talking about true, authentic connection.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? But and as a man, I'm sure you've seen it. That women speak to men just because they want companionship, and that's not true companion,
no,
that's not
no,
true connection. It's just companionship. I'm
right,
surely saying we women have to explore our bodies in order to know what arouses us, so we're able to communicate what we want for sex. Yes,
yeah,
Shirley, and yes, this is what we talked about
yeah.
earlier, communication. Because if you're not communicating, then what? How are you, Neil, going to know what I want? You know
It's
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
it's my body. So you
Right,
really can't tell what I'm feeling and what is it I want. But
right,
for
right,
some
right.
men, as what Greg was saying, if we pay attention, we can be teachers, he mentioned earlier on, but you have to be in the moment and pay attention. A place you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier of no ego. You know
Yes.
what I mean? We're going to be
Yeah.
coming naked and authentic and being ourselves, you
Hmm.
know? Um, Andrea is saying, well, where is she? Openness is everything. Yes, Andrea. Openness
It's
is
a game changer.
everything. It's a
It
game
really is.
changer. But this is the thing, though. We're still hiding behind that little kid that's in us, that little person
Okay.
that's in us. We're
Okay.
still hiding. So unless we heal that little person for whatever trauma or bad sexual experience or relationship or family trauma that's going on, it's
Yeah.
it's, it's not going to change. It's going to be a continued cycle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 True indeed. True indeed.
Simone, yes, we must train our sons better. Rites of passage are embedded in our original African tradition to properly
Mm.
prepare our people. And it's true. If you're true, Jackson, if you're comfortable around the person, things flow better. That is
They do.
true.
They do. They do.
It makes a big difference. But I'm going to tell you, as women,
Yeah.
women, oh my God, I love us. I really do. But we are such complicated little humans. We are so complicated. We overthink things, we
Mm.
overanalyze. If you, as a partner, you come with something else, you're in your mind, okay, where the hell did he learn this again? So because we're so in our head, no, because Neil come with a different style, oh my
Right.
God, where Neil get this from?
Right.
What the hell is going on? Is he having sex with somebody else? Like
Right. Right.
the
Right. Right.
noise, the
Right.
constant noise,
And that's in the
the
midst of
constant
intimacy.
noise
That's in the midst of it
in
too.
the
So it's
midst of
like,
intimacy,
right.
you
Right.
know? Chadwick is saying Greg is right. Both partners have to let go of ego. So if she gives direction, it becomes guide rather than a militant. Come on. Oh, for sure. For
Mm.
sure, for sure. But it would be great, honestly, if these women would give directions. I've had so many women saying, they're having sex with their partner and they're feeling like, okay, I think this is an orgasm that's coming on, and their partner switched.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then what? They're not saying anything,
Right.
you
I,
know?
I like that this comment about being a guide rather than a militant
Written
like
command, yeah.
because it's true. Like I definitely can recall some past like intimate scenarios like where that like that anger and frustration. It was like it's like don't move and like you moved and it's like whoa like and then it's just like holy like
What the hell was
and,
that? What's going on?
yeah, and then it's like and then it's just like I'm just done. I'm just done. It's like what whoa and then it's like oh my god like I didn't realize this is crazy. You know
You
what I
seen
mean?
the
But
army.
right, no, but it is. And then it's like like the next round, like you have this like pressure on you. It's like yo, you better perform, man, because you don't want that drill instructor to come out again, right? So
Hmm.
I do like the idea of a guide.
Of a guy. Oh, definitely. Natalie asked Donna Marie saying, I truly believe women play a huge role in the initiation of sex with men. Women always give the green light and control that more than we think. And it's true. Natalie, I so agree with you. Women need to take a gentle, very gentle approach when it comes to sex and initiate it with men. What's your thought on that? How, if a woman initiates sex with you, how would that make you feel? Because we were talking earlier about the what do you call the macho man,
Yeah,
the Jamaican man, the
right.
alpha male.
Well, that like that goes back to like my point from before. Like in the
Yeah.
beginning, like that was my thing. Like there I remember like being young, and like there'd be certain times where I would just have this energy. I can't explain it, but it's just like I'm gonna handle my business, and it's a magnetic. It just connects and does whatever it needs to do. But as I got older, I realized it's I would rather the women initiate and let the energy be known. Even
Mhm.
if I'm thinking it or whatever, like, and I'll keep that to myself. You know what I'm saying? And until like that's being known, because I think that's just like the best like experience. And for me as a man, I don't want any kind of confusion. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I don't want no one saying I'm taking advantage of them or I misled them or I did something. You know what I mean? It's like no. You were taking off my shirt and this and that, and you were getting it ready, and you know what I mean? It's like you're sending me clear signs that cannot be confused as something else. So for me, as I got older, that was always a very, very, very important thing.
Take control, women.
Yeah,
Deborah
yeah,
is saying patience is key too. We need more time. And yeah, Deborah, we were talking about that earlier. That definitely patience is key. We had we were saying that men are like microwave and women are like oven. We need time to warm up, And it's again, it starts in the brain, like what we were saying earlier. It's just crazy how women take a little bit longer to get to where we need to be.
yeah.
Angela, we as women have to really just let go of the background noise. At the same time, though, I have very sensually asked for what I needed during the act, and I remember the man freaking out on me. Of course, that was his problem, not mine. His
Right.
reaction caused the demise. There you go.
Hmm.
So she had a scenario that it was the opposite. She's asking for what she need, gently, I guess, because I know Angela, so I'm sure she wasn't, militant in asking,
Right.
and his ego. Again,
Right.
this because it's his ego, right? He's freaking
Yeah.
out on her because his ego is like,
Right.
what you're telling me what to do. I'm the man here.
There we go.
That's
Got to
the
be in
ego.
control.
You have to be in control. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And we need to we need to take that.
Yeah, because we're men.
Yeah, right. Tarzan and Jane. Tarzan and Jane. Greg said he loved when a woman comes on to him. Just like what you're saying. It's a rite of passage. So I love that.
Yeah. But that also speaks to like the energy that you create, because obviously women, like women are more like spiritually in tuned. You know what I mean? Like there is a certain level of intuition or whatever. So
We
yeah.
would want to think so. We would want to think so that women are more in
Okay.
tune. We are in tuned
Okay. Yeah.
in tune for when we're thinking that our man is cheating, but not in
Facts.
tune with the temple. You see what I'm saying?
Facts.
Yeah,
Yo,
it is facts. We're
when a
so in
woman wants to find
tune.
out, she gonna find out.
They're
Yo.
going to find out. But
Facts.
when it comes to this body
Right.
of temple that we have, we're not into. We're not listening to what it
Mm.
needs. Even a simple thing as food. If your body is lacking something, your body speaks to you. But
Right.
again, because of all the noise and all this noise that's going on, we're not listening to what our body needs.
Right.
Colleen, also it's important that both partners understand the emotional space each are in. Are you making love or feeling a desire? It's true.
Ooh, okay.
That's a good one right there. Are you making love or just fulfilling a desire? Because it happens. Are you just a quick thing, or are we having a relationship and going on to the next level?
Indeed, indeed.
And these are things that people need to talk about,
We got a little friend here.
before
Um,
parenting high,
oh, good.
sweetie.
Yes. Hi. My dear, we're having a conversation here, and I'm gonna
She's
have to
just
talk to
too
you a little
cute.
bit. Aw.
Jackson is saying that's where I think it's the man's responsibility to make a
Yeah,
woman confident of themselves, and the comfort come in very easily.
right.
Yes, right. Um, I'm loving
Yeah.
Greg's comments tonight. He's saying, "Kill the ego, set yourself free, man."
Mhm.
All
Yeah,
right, to
yeah.
kill the ego, set
I
yourself
mean,
free.
easier said than done, but I think like the ego, it's something that you have to want to do. You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
But sometimes like ego isn't necessarily like a bad thing, but it's really more so. I wouldn't necessarily say like kill the ego, but keep your ego in check. You know what I mean? Like have a self awareness of it, right? Because like ego delivers a certain level of confidence, a certain level of like self understanding. But
Hmm.
I think like when it goes into like a toxic place, then yeah, I think that's more so what he's talking about. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say to kill the ego, but definitely keep it in check. Like constantly ask yourself questions and be like, okay, like am I balanced here? Am I doing too much? Like what's going on here? So
I think he was referring to what Angela was saying about the guy was freaking out on him, and I think that's where the whole ego thing came
yeah,
into
yeah,
place.
yeah.
Yeah, which is true though, because I mean, in scenarios like that, we're all here to learn. Especially if this is a new relationship.
Right,
We're all here to learn, because you're going to want to learn what my body desires, and I'm going to want to learn what your body desires. So we have to come in, as we said earlier, naked, right?
right.
So it's just so crazy. I got a lot of text. So one particular one
Okay.
that I really, it's a lot. So there's one particular one that I like. I was reading, and
All right.
her concern was that men don't even know how to arouse. So her thing is that it's men's responsibility
Okay.
for women to have orgasms. They don't know how to please their clit. They don't know what a libya is. They don't know what they don't know nothing about the vagina. It's okay as long as they come, but nothing. There's nothing. She's over 50. They don't overstimulate the vulva. They don't understand the difference between coming
Wow.
for women. Men come and orgasm at the same time, whereas women come and not orgasm. Having sex with grown men is not understanding over. Like it's a whole fucking sheet. Excuse my
Right,
language.
right, right, right.
So basically, she
Frustrations are
she
real.
puts frustration. She's only had one orgasm and she's over 50.
Like in her entire
And
life.
yeah, one orgasm, and she's 50 years old. So this is what we're talking about. She is responsible for her own orgasm.
Mm,
Can
mm,
the man help? Oh hell yes, he can help.
right.
But
Well,
in Go ahead.
I'll say this, like, yo, YouTube University, there is, what's so beautiful about like living in the times that we're at right now, like information is so accessible. Like, if you think like 20 years ago, you might have to go to like one of those like secondhand bookstores, what I mean, like downtown and like in the basement, and they might have like a Karma Sutra book in the back that you have to ask for and all this kind of stuff. But like nowadays, you can just type in some stuff and there is a lot of fantastic stuff online. I'm someone who loves to research. I'm just a naturally like inquisitive person. I love researching and
Hmm.
studying. Sometimes I go down that YouTube rabbit hole on various topics, but like you can learn so much. Like there's a lot of people that have done a lot of work, and you can get in tuned and really just explore. You
Or
know,
or come to Donna's University. I'd gladly talk to her. Hey,
there we go.
Greg
Even
is
better.
saying that. Greg is saying that's on her.
He's like, nah, fam. That's all you.
And I agree. Like I didn't know what to say to her because she was just going off and off and off, and all I said was okay. You know what I mean? Because you when you're in a space of take giving blame rather than taking ownership,
There we go.
then
Right.
it's going to be really hard, or I shouldn't say hard, a little bit more constraint to kind of teach a person or let person understand what's going on, because we talked about it begins with us.
Yeah,
You know?
and just by hearing the frustration, like it sounds like there's, like energetic blocks. You know what I mean? Like, so when I hear like what she was describing, it sounds like, there was like a lot of expectation. Maybe she had partners, I don't know how many partners, whatever, but they've all like have not delivered. So there's this kind of like frustration and even anger, and again,
A lot of
that
anger.
kind of victimization and perspective, and again, like putting the ownership like outside of self, and I've learned that's like a major like game shifter, when you realize that, hold on, I gotta like, go within and figure out that like maybe there's some like childhood, trauma,
Trauma. That's what we're talking about.
maybe
You
there
know?
was some shame, like maybe, common stories I hear of like, young women, like say they want to wear like a short skirt or whatever. And then before they even know what the words like slut are or whore are, they're being called these things. And it's like, what? I don't even know. I'm not like, you're like 13, 12. Like I have a 12-year-old and I can't picture me. And these are words that they're hearing from their parents now, right? I couldn't picture myself calling my daughter that and whatever. I mean, I'm more of an evolved parent, so like, like when it's time for those conversations, I'm ready for it. But to shame and to like just like call these names and all these different things, like this is what I think are like some of the foundational concerns. By no means am I an expert. I'm just going off of the stories that have been told to me. So
But it's true, and I agree with you with a lot of stuff that you said. It sounds like something that is personal, whatever her journey is, or not only her, because she's not the only person.
right,
She was just one of them that the latest one she sent in. I thought, like, I think this is a really good example
yeah,
of brainwashing. You know what I mean? And I mean, when I say brainwashing, you grew up in a Seven Days Adventist church. I grew up
come
as a
on now.
Catholic,
Okay, so you already know
and
it.
you know, but unlike me, I go to church an hour and a half. You go all day, you know. So it's a
You
little bit
already know.
different. And I remember our family always being Bible thumper. Even if you didn't go to church, church has been
Oh,
instilled in us from way back when, from
right.
slavery days. So it's just
Come
in our
on.
DNA. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it just keep passing on and passing on and passing on. So
And
even if your parents don't go ahead.
no, no, but just to add to that is like, like sex is sin, like especially like
Listen,
before marriage, right? Sex
yes,
is sin. Not really understanding that spirituality and sexuality are like really one and the same, but they don't want to talk about it.
they
Y'all
don't
ain't
want
ready
to
for
talk
that
about
though.
it. I remember once I was talking to a pastor and I said to him I was going to meditate. And he said, "Oh my God, meditation is sin and meditation and that." So I said to him, "When you guys are calling up and going in spirit, what is that?" "Oh, we're worshiping the Lord." It's the same thing, different words, same bloody thing. You know
It
what
is.
I mean?
It is.
It's the
It is.
same
It is.
thing.
It is.
Errol is saying women are the best teachers when it comes to themselves. In some cases, women might need to teach in order to vet. Please, again, in some cases,
Mm,
I hear what
mm.
you're saying, Errol, and you're right. In some cases, women are great teachers, very good teachers. But the thing about it, we talked about ego. You
Mm.
know, ego. We have to be
Yeah.
in a place of no mind and understanding.
Yeah. So when I hear ego, it's like that's like this like protective,
It
like
is.
there's this cage, you know what I mean? And like I said, like ego is necessary for like survival. But like, if you're looking
Yeah.
at it from that basic level, you know what I mean? It is very necessary. But I think in order to like, I guess like, soften the ego a little bit, you have to feel safe. You know what I mean? Like the way how I look at it is like there has to be a container that's created of safety,
Mm-hmm.
and through that safety, that allows vulnerability to be
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, like, for women to be to even voice that to a man, I've never had an orgasm. Here's what I've been going through and whatever. And to create that safe space, you know what I mean? That kind of energy, that communication. By being able to communicate without being judged, that leads into intimacy. You know what I mean? Like you may have to shed a few tears, right? That's breaking down the walls. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm speaking from experience, so I know what I'm talking about.
Preach,
Through
say
all these- to get
it.
through all those spaces, and it's very uncomfortable. It's scary, even. You know what I mean? To get to those spaces, but on the other side of that, it's like a whole new world that you're like, whoa, never even knew this even could even exist. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking like real intimate, like what I mentioned before, like where you just like touch like the shoulder, then all of a sudden the body starts going off and crazy. I know for some people they don't even know what I'm talking about, but again, like
We're talking
it's a
about the
very
erogenous
fortunate,
zone.
yeah, it's a really fortunate place to be, and and it takes one to feel like really like safe, to be vulnerable, to really face their shadows, their darkness, and all these different things, to really to be open, because then we're a vessel, that light, that energy has to be able to flow through fluidly. When there's blocks, it gets stuck. You know what I mean? And then we get into our heads, and then that adds more layers and layers and layers, and then becomes like what a lot of people have been describing, though. But I think this is why like conversation is so important, to really build on that. Like, what are your sexual experiences? You know what I mean? Like, what are the things that went well? What are the things that not went well? Like, what did you learn? Like, what do you want to learn? What do
Mm-hmm.
you want to explore?
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't even know what that is, because it's been so blocked off. Like, they've been taught that like sex is dirty, and especially coming from, like, I feel like the Caribbean or Black community, like, even though we were sexualized, we were not allowed to really be out there. Like, for me, it was more like European culture, that it was allowed to do whatever they want and not have the repercussions for that. For
Mm-hmm.
us, it's like, no, we got a certain
Your
standard that we got
point.
to present.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, I'm trying to change all that. It's like, like sex is here to stay. I mean, that's how I came into my physical existence. I mean, that's how my kids are here. So it's like, we got to talk about it. We
It needs
can't
to be
escape
talked
it.
about.
Yeah, yeah,
It needs to be talked about, and I really love the way that you break down the whole ego thing, which makes sense. You do have to have the ego for survival. But this is the thing, though, Neil. Sometimes people don't know how to differentiate it, or how and when to use it. Because you can just say one thing, that one particular word that traumatized you as a child or
yeah,
whatever, and you
yeah.
say it as an adult, and your back is against the wall.
Indeed, indeed.
Then what?
Yeah.
Then what? Andrea, women need to tell the man what they like and what turns them on to bring them to that zone.
I got a question. I mean, I'm curious to know. People can jump in the comments, or whatever. But
Hmm.
do most women feel comfortable doing that? I mean, I'm talking like really breaking it down, like everything. I
Telling your
mean, you
man,
you into rope play, like you into this and that, like are you really going in and breaking it down? Like,
okay,
do you feel
ladies,
that comfortable to say
ladies,
that? I'm
ladies,
curious. I'm
yeah,
curious.
the ladies that's on the live right now, are you open to tell your man everything, what you're into, role play, dress up, bondage, whatever? Are
Yeah,
you open to be open? Come
yeah.
naked and have that conversation with your man. Colleen is saying she is. She is very open into having the conversation. Andrea said she is too.
Okay.
And
That's what's up.
Angela says, yes, she's as well. She's very open in having that conversation with her persons.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, and this is where we are in life, though. You know what? We have to attract that person. We have to have an even yoke when it comes to
Oh.
sexuality and
Uh
sex
oh.
and human. We have to, because can you imagine you, Neil,
Mhm.
this person that like to be free, and when I say free is free, if you feel like going on with anything anywhere, your
Right.
partner's
Right.
supposed to be even with you, and like, oh my
Right.
god,
Right.
no,
Right.
that alone is cause for trouble. Am I lying or am I lying?
No, that's a major fact. That's a major fact. Yeah.
Lisa says she's never done that, but it sounds interesting. Lisa, it is very interesting, and I think you should
It's
try it.
empowering.
Yeah, it's
It's
very
empowering. For
empowering
sure. For
and
sure.
freeing. So pull up your big girl's panties and try it.
Yeah.
Angela, I have to, because I don't have a high tolerance for sexual dissatisfaction. I love that, Angela. We don't have no time for
Yeah.
playing no game. No time for playing no game.
Yes.
Agree, Donna. We need to be on the same page sexually. Of course, we
So
have
it's energy.
to.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to. Brownstown. Sometimes you tell them and they don't do it. So to some women, why say it?
Mm.
Okay.
I understand
Okay.
that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because you may have certain desires, like, I don't know, like, could be like, I don't know, you want to go to, like, like a swingers club, or something, or I don't know, maybe you want to invite another partner into play, and they're just like, nah. And then you may feel a certain shame just for, like,
Asking or
asking
saying
your own
something.
desire. You know what I mean? And I don't think, I mean, I think everybody has the right to do whatever's comfortable for them, but I don't think anybody should be shamed for speaking their truth.
Exactly. I agree.
And there's like 7 billion people on the planet. Like, like you have to put out the energy in order to attract like what you're looking for, because I promise you,
Exactly.
like, it's there. You know what I mean? But you just have to have like like the courage to put yourself out there.
But if you're on low vibration, Neil, you're not going to attract what you really
Oh,
want. Listen,
okay,
I'm on the same page as you.
okay.
But it's true. Am I lying?
No, you're right. That the vibrational
Yeah,
thing is,
it's
it is,
huge.
it is.
Because you're thinking it, but you're at the same time, oh, I'm scared. Like you put it on the brake and the gas at the same time. You can't. It's either up on the brake
Right,
or
right,
you're on the
right,
gas.
right,
You're gonna
right,
go or you're gonna stay.
right.
Elizabeth, open to having that conversation if it's a relationship, but if it's not, then just dating casual. No. So that's fair enough.
Preference, yeah, preference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's see what Greg is saying. You need to be open, else you will not be happy and keep roaming. Tell them what you want. They may want the same thing and will
yeah.
be quiet until it's true though. Uh,
Well, yeah, like I mean, just to add to that, like being open, because I feel like that's how like dishonesty and things of that nature come to play in relationships, right? Because when you feel like you can't be open, and it's like, okay, I have certain desires, but I can't express that to my lover, partner, or whatever, and then you may go off somewhere else, and then that's not being authentic to the relationship, and it creates all kinds of like
and
things.
that's
So
where cheating and
right,
dishonesty comes in,
indeed,
right?
indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
Craig, I have a rope next to my bed. TMI. He has a rope in bed just
Hey,
in case. Listen,
lady, he's putting it out there.
judgment free zone. Listen, Craig
You know
has a
what it
rope
is.
beside him bed. Go
You know what it is, man.
out.
Round them up.
Wow. Oh my God. Colleen, speak your truth as partners meet each other in the middle. It's true, Colleen. We all have to speak our truth. We have to verbalize what it is that we want.
Yeah.
Because you're going to start a relationship and then realize that you both want two different things.
Hmm.
So it looks like on here, majority of the persons are saying that women are responsible for their orgasms.
Okay.
And
Okay.
not, yeah, we're responsible for the pain, the
Yeah.
freeness, the orgasm, the happiness, the
Mm.
sadness. We're all responsible for our stuff. And
But
again,
also, as that saying goes, you'll get by with a little help from your friends.
but yeah, and I was just about to say until communication
Uh,
comes
yes.
in.
There we
Because
go. There we
yeah,
go.
we have because it's not going to go anywhere if we don't communicate our thoughts and our pleasure
Right.
and what is it that we want. The responsibility is ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
ours and ours only. As we said, if you know your partner is one to warm up, as we said earlier, start playing with her mind from earlier in the day and tell her what you're coming
Right.
home to do with her.
There we go.
You
Yeah.
know,
That's real. That's
Baby,
real.
I'm gonna come fling it on the wall, come in
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. No
whatever.
doubt. No doubt.
Send her some little dirty text or clean text,
Right.
whatever that turns her on. This is where communication comes in,
Right. 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 Right.
see, Debbie saying the same thing. Responsibility is ours. The
Right.
responsibility is ours.
Right.
I have a thing, start playing with my mind from before. Because
Mm.
we know that the brain is one of the biggest the sex organs out there.
It is. It really is.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever see a person's go watch porn, and as soon as it's just a visual,
Right.
they're watching porn, and what happens? Them get turned on. You know what I mean?
Right.
They get
Right.
turned on because it's in the brain. It's
Similarly.
as
Yeah.
if,
Yeah. 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 Indeed.
it's as if
Indeed.
it's happening. It's not me, but you're seeing it. It's just like we're saying.
Right.
When you see a person, the first thing that you're attracted to is the physical sense,
Right.
right? But then that person could look beautiful, but the minute they open their mouth, it's like,
Come on. No.
am I
Yeah,
lying?
yeah, yeah. But that's why like communication is so big for me, man.
Yes,
Like just
very.
conversations and understanding like who you're going to be attaching to.
Oh, yes.
Because there's so many layers to it, but like from an energetic standpoint, like you really want to know who you're connecting with. You know what I mean? Because there's certain things that could be exchanged. You know what I'm saying? And
But
so
listen, they have to know who they are first before them can know who
yes,
they're going to
yes,
connect with.
yes,
Because
indeed.
I'm going to tell you, and you should know this. A lot of people don't have a clue who
True,
they are. We've been on this
true.
earth for 20 years, 30, 40,
Right,
50
right,
years,
right.
and we're just getting to know who we are.
It's getting started.
Just
True.
getting started. But at least they're started. And that's all we
Yeah.
want. We want people to start.
Hmm.
It's just the start. Thank
And
you, Greg, for bigging me up. It sounds like a lot of
yeah,
people need the service of Donna Savage. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And I think too, like like on the topic of just like personal development and self discovery, like that could also be like a tool of intimacy with the partners. Like both y'all
Yes.
doing your own work together, doing your own homework, figuring out yourself,
Yes.
and building each other, having those kinds of conversations. You'd be surprised on how that turns into like a beautiful experience.
Beautiful experience. And I so agree with you. Lisa, I have a friend in Jamaica coming up next week, and he said he wants rice and peas. Ask for what you want. You're so silly.
Okay, okay.
Lisa, listen, no rice and peas for me, but ask in another way. So give me another scenario next time. No bloody
Uh,
rice and peas.
right on peace.
That was funny. Dave is saying
uh,
communication is key. Yes, Dave. Communication is key in every aspect of our lives. And I really love what you just said, Neil,
yeah.
about couples or partners working on themselves individually to figure out who they are. So they come together an musical divine moment.
Yo, like to me, like right, like where the stage I'm at in my life right now, like personal development, trying to figure out your own stuff, like that's probably the most sexiest thing ever. You know what I mean? Like that's like super attractive.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Because again, it's like taking that onus and wanting to evolve and wanting to grow and understand like your energy, your being, and work through all those things, like those stories from the past that have prevented you from being your true authentic self.
Hmm.
Me doing the work is why I'm able to have these conversations right now. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were to reach out to me, like say like I don't know, like 5 years ago, I'd be like,
Hmm.
oh, you're crazy. Like I ain't talking about this stuff up live. Are you kidding?
Neil, you're not saying nothing that I don't know of. What I got divorced 10 years since last summer, so 10 years this summer, whatever. And
Right.
you couldn't even talk up. Listen, I didn't even want to go into a toy shop 10 years
Okay.
ago, and ten. So this is what we're talking about growth.
Right.
But
Right.
before growth, we have to accept certain things about us.
Mhm.
Me coming and talking
Sorry.
about sex,
Yeah.
this is where we're talking about unprogramming.
Yeah.
I'm being mindful because I'm going to tell you, my book is coming out soon,
Okay.
yeah, and it talked about that. It talks about my journey of even
Mm.
when I found out I was pregnant. I was more
Right.
embarrassed that people are going to know that I was having sex while I
Uh,
was pregnant. The
right.
programming,
Yeah.
the programming. It's just crazy.
Uh,
Colleen is saying power of suggestion. Yes, Colleen, power of suggestion is huge.
mm,
It's very huge. I have a story that I love. It's,
yeah.
it's about a dog on a nail, and I remember, and it's like one of the most powerful stories ever. It's about this guy, and every time he went to look for his friend, his dog is on the porch, and I was crying, and he said to the owner, "What's wrong with him?" And he says he's lying on a nail, and he says, "Why don't you move him off the nail?" And he says, "No, when he gets uncomfortably enough, he will move." And the
Ooh.
dog refused to remove from the nail because, although he's feeling the pain and the
Right.
discomfort, he refused
Right.
to move. But,
Right.
but the
Right.
owner says, his dad says, you know what? No, when he gets real uncomfortable, he will move. And this is where we are in our journey. When we get
Mhm.
uncomfortable, why is it that Neil or Donna is having this amazing time
Right.
with growth and having amazing
You
sex and
know.
friends and freeness, and why can't I? Because you're not
Yeah.
approachable
Yeah.
enough to do the switch. You said it yourself. You realized where you were and you had to make the change.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. I've noticed, again, just stories that I've heard like over the years. A lot of women who've been in like extended like relationships, I'm talking like 15, 20 years plus or whatever, raising kids, etc. And then, they get the empty nest syndrome, kids are gone, maybe they're divorced now. And then it's like, because as women, like, you put everybody first ahead of yourself, right? Everything, got to get the kids, husband, this and that, make sure everybody's blessed, everybody's good. And then when that point happens, it's like this like new like discovery, it's like now all that energy that was going like outward is now going inward and having this space to like explore and rediscover, so just like you said, like it really just takes that moment, and each individual is different, there's no timeline of when like this awareness comes, but you're right, there is that moment where it's like, yo, enough is enough. Like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to explore it. Like, no expectation. I'm going to go out and do my thing so I can understand.
Yes. Yes, because this is the thing. I had a friend. She went on vacation, but not too much, and she's always waiting for that right person so she can have and go on vacation with. And she's waiting
Okay.
and she's waiting. She died.
Oh shit.
You see what I mean? No, it's
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
this is the thing that in life, be prepared for
Mm.
the unexpected. Why are we going to put off stuff that we can do today?
Yo,
We don't
man.
know what's going to happen in a couple hours or tomorrow or later on, and you're right. And as women, especially when you have you're newly married or living with a person and you have kids, even if you're single, you have kids, it's about everybody else and the
Okay.
person that we're supposed to be paying more attention to, which is us.
Right.
Everybody else is getting the better part of us, and we're going to be waiting until we become empty nesters. But then at that point, then what? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
Errol is saying it's like the man says, it's all about breaking down walls and reach the space where both parties reach that evolution stance of self, knowing that it's not just physical but also mental. Very
Yeah.
true. Very,
I
very
would even add spiritual too, like mental, emotional, and spiritual. Like I
yes.
think it's like
All of
that.
that. They're
Yeah,
all
that's really the man.
intertwined.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're all intertwined. Wow. This has been such a a powerful, powerful evening.
yeah.
And we need to connect again, like seriously.
Do it. Yeah, yeah,
We
for sure.
really need to connect again because I think tonight was just the icing on the cake, and I you have so much to say, and I have so much to
Yeah.
say as well.
Thank you.
And you're an awesome host, guest, and
Thank you. We're
I, yeah,
co-hosting.
exactly. And I appreciate it. So I'm just gonna close off for
All
tonight.
right.
So thank you everyone for coming in. Tonight was
Yeah, that
about
was great.
who are responsible, are men responsible for women's orgasms? And at the end of the day, we all believe that we are responsible for our own orgasm with the help of the men. But we
Right.
are the ones, we're supposed to have this open communication. We're supposed to take the ownership on ourselves and figure it out. What is it that we like as women and be energetically and open to
Mm.
new ideas and new feelings and rediscovery because no matter what age you are, we're always changing and evolving and figuring stuff out,
Great.
right?
Indeed. Yep.
For those who didn't watch the live, please watch it on the replay and chime in.
Yeah.
Yeah, share, connect with Logic. His Instagram and his business page is on here.
That's right. That's
Reach
right.
out, because he is a man of the community. So reach out to him.
Indeed.
He's a great source. And
Thank you.
yeah, I've been reading up on you. So you
Thank
know
you.
what? Reach out to us. Visit my website. As I was mentioning earlier, my new book should be coming out in a month. It's called Head Up, Shoulders Back, and Own Your Shit. It's a book about sex and
I love it.
sensuality. Yeah, we have to own
Yeah.
it. We have to bring
Mm.
ownership to self.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
It's your birthright. It's your birthright.
it's our birthright. It's our birthright. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is Donna Savage with Talk with Savage
Yo,
Desires. Have an awesome night.
peace out, y'all.
Peace out.
Yes.